with, to establish those relationships. And then until like they establish military dominance, the US, and then it becomes more about forcibly assimilating, because ultimately it's cheaper and it's better optics to not be killing an entire race of people. And so once this military threat becomes under control and the federal government, gains the upper hand, then the approach is we'll just educate them into assimilation. And so it's literally about education for assimilation in order to kill the Indian and save the man. That's the motto of the boarding school system. So they passed a law, the Dawes Act of 1887 was what mandated this, and also the privatizing of native lands, reservation lands, and mandated sending children to school. So it was literally the taking of children from there. It was all about deliberately destroying families. Let's be clear. Destroy the families by sending the children away to these education factories and punishing them for speaking their language, cutting off all their hair, giving them white clothes, basically turning them into white people. This was official policy for a good half a century until roughly 1934. And then a new policy, the Indian New Deal, happened, and there's a shifting in direction because there's a recognition that assimilation was brutal, and it was ultimately a failure. It maintained these systems of poverty and ill health on the reservations and all this stuff. So they finally came to see that, restoring a measure of self-government to tribal nations was the way to go. And so that's been roughly the trajectory of the 20th century. Although there was a period when they like recidivism, how do you call that? What's that word? When you revert back to something else, when they go back, that's what termination was in the 50s and 60s, where they try again to force this assimilation of Native people, but ultimately that fails too.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Dina, for, I think all of us, I've been madly taking notes. I think that you have really given us a lot to think about. I think that you have certainly explained many concepts that we did not understand and showed us relationships that we did not see before. And I want to thank you so much for spending this time with us, for your insight, for giving up as a busy woman, giving up part of your Saturday. Comment from Noah, I think, expresses it beautifully. I feel honored to have been able to be in this room this morning, learning from Dina and everyone's questions. Many people saying, wonderful, clear, informative presentation. We can't thank you enough. In your stated goal of talking to many groups and explaining and informing, I can say that you absolutely hit the bullseye with us this morning, and we are very, very grateful to you. Thank you so much, Dina Giglio Whitaker.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the great comments and glad to help. And, hopefully this will help inform all your future conversations around equity and justice. And, when it comes to American Indians, that, try to avoid the BIPOC frame. That's what I would suggest, think beyond multiculturalism.